Hello everyone, here we are today to discuss the energies of this new moon in Libra. And for those of you who don't know me, I am Nina from Moon Omens team, and I am an astrologer next to the other astrologer that we have, Lucrezia, and I recommend to all of you to also read the latest article on the moonomens.com website that Lucrezia wrote, because there I'm sure you will find more meaningful information and some insights that you can use for yourself during this time. And this new moon in Libra is really special energy, because this is also the time when we are in Libra season, but this is the time when we just experienced the autumn equinox. And autumn equinox was just 2 or 3 days before this new moon in Libra. And this is the very similar energy, because we are talking about things that are being balanced in nature, things that are now coming to their equality. And the energy of equinox, just as the name says, talks about things being equal, the equal day and the equal night, the equal amount of light and dark within ourselves and outside as well, the equal amount of day, the equal amount of night, and the equal amount of dark and equal amount of light within ourselves as well. So these are energies of the changes of cycles. These are shifts in energies. And it doesn't matter in which hemisphere we are, because these are natural cycles, these are natural changes that happen within ourselves, and we always feel them in these points in time. These are the key points in the cycle of life in nature, and there is always a deeper message for humanity and for each of us during these changes of cycle that happen. They are always moments of death and rebirth, and we always see this in nature all around us. And these are, these 4 focal points in year, which are the spring, autumn, winter, and the summer, are very, very important. These stages represent stages of an inner spiritual journey. These are the cycles that the individual takes within themselves. So these equal nights are asking us to honor the balance and interaction of the light and dark within ourselves and within others as well. We have to think about others during this time. This is Libra energy, Libra new moon, and Libra is about the other. Libra is about our reflections, our projections, our relationships, our partnerships, our one-on-one communications and connections. This is somebody who is across the street from me. This is the energy of connection with others. So we have to consider others as well, and understand how important their role is for everything in life. Without the other, there is no me. Without the other, without you, there is no me, and without me, there is no you. And this is the dynamic of the 1st and 7th house. And we now have ability to understand how these dynamics work. And there is really no possibility for any human being to survive without others. Just try to imagine the world without others. Try to imagine your one day passing by without other people. How would you manage anything in your life? That would be impossible, and we would never learn anything about ourselves. There would be nothing that we can look at in order to learn who we are, to understand ourselves. And this is the energy of going within. And this understanding of cycles, of our own cycles, is also deepening during this time. And we understand that these are the cycles of growth, harvest, death, and rebirth. And we see this in nature all the time, and we should also understand that these are the cycles that happen within ourselves as well. And nothing is ever truly lost, ever, because we see these cycles in nature all the time. They are never really repeated, they just continue. And we see how things grow and they reach their full blossom, and then they decay, and then they go again through the same process. They are being, taken by the earth and again nurtured and again growing. So the death and rebirth process continuing all the time. And we are now reminded of this, and this can encourage us and bring us relief and set us free from certain fears, fear of loss, fear of physical death. But we will talk about these fears more in the next month, because we will have eclipses, and eclipse in Scorpio, so this is more of that. But we also feel this energy now as well, very strongly, because we are entering the eclipse season. And this last week of September can be very intense, very wild, very unpredictable. So we are now making this fertile soil for new creativity. And the fertile ground is now very potent, because this is also new moon energy. And new moon, we know, is the energy of new beginnings, but it's also a time of letting go of some dark thoughts, letting go of things, leaving behind everything that is damaging, that is hurting us, that is painful, that is traumatic. We have ability to leave it behind during the new moon energy, because this is when the moon is invisible in the sky. The phase before the new moon is called the dark phase of the moon, because the moon is not visible. So we have ability to leave it behind in the darkness and to allow the energy of new growth to give new life to something. And this is the new moon is energy of when the moon and the sun come together. This is their sacred marriage of the king and the queen of the zodiac. This is the marriage of the sun and the moon, the masculine and the feminine energy within ourselves as well. So there is always a potential and an opportunity to give birth to something new during new moon. So this is why we are planting seeds, we are initiating something new, we are, giving something a new light, new impulse. And this can be a lot about relationships, because this new moon is in Libra. And we can also experience great extremes during this time, because Libra is, the glyph of Libra is the scales. She's always weighing something, Libra's energy. So the Libra part in us is always making decisions and weighing between extremes. And we can feel like we are on the pendulum between these extremes, taken in all sides. And this is the energy. The Libra always tends to bring peace, equality, harmony, compromise, commitments, fairness, justice. These things are very important now. And because of these things that are important, we may find ourselves in extremes, in high extremes. And I just remembered one story, because we shouldn't really, sometimes we definitely need to go into these extremes, to reach them, to break, to really feel the full potential of that something that we want to experience. And sometimes we definitely need to reach the maximum or the minimum in order to understand, to comprehend, to heal, to grow, to integrate, and to learn, because we learn through these extremes, and that's how we learn the right measure, the middle ground, the sweet spot. This is how we are learning how to surf through life with ourselves. This is how we learn our own energy as well. But we shouldn't be identified with these extremes. We shouldn't identify ourselves with that maximum or that minimum. We shouldn't think that this is who we are, because we are just going through that journey. That's the journey of, going up or going down, going left or going right, going in in everything in between. So there is a good story about not being identified with these extremes or our own conditions and states of being. This is the story of a student and a teacher. So the student of meditation came to his teacher and said, "Teacher, my meditation is horrible. It's a disaster. I cannot do it. This is making me feel sick. I cannot manage to do anything in the right way. This meditation is just catastrophic." And the teacher said to the student, "It will pass." So the same student came back to his teacher next week and said, all excited, "Teacher, my meditation is wonderful, it's beautiful, it's so awakening, I feel so alive, it's so exciting, I don't know how this happened, this is beautiful, this is the most beautiful experience ever." And the teacher said to student, "It will pass." So the point is to know this, to be aware of this, to go beyond these extremes, to understand that it's not the point to feel sad or happy, because those things will pass. They pass and they change all the time. They mix with each other. These are dances of energies and emotions, and this is not who we truly are. We should be aware that we should stay in that middle path, this middle ground of knowing that these are energies that just go around, and this is the journey that we are being taken. This is the ride, but we are not that. And this is how we can grow and mature and bring that wisdom to ourselves through knowing this. But, you know, we have to be able to understand how this works. We have to be able to rise above these wild energies of extremes, because we will have this strong need for balance, Libra, the scales. So there is also another story that I just remembered, because I mentioned this middle ground and middle path. So there is a movement called middle path or middle way in Buddhism, and there's a story of Buddha meditating, sitting under the tree, and the young musician passing by. The young musician was let's say a guitar player. I don't remember which instrument it was, but it was a string instrument. Maybe it was a lute or something like that. And the Buddha asked him about the instrument and the melodies, and asked like, how is the sound like, the tone, when strings are too tight? And the musician answered, the strings break. The strings break when they are too tight. It's not possible to play it in a beautiful way, in a harmonious way. And then Buddha asked, and what happens when the strings are too loose? And the musician said, there is no vibration when the strings are too loose. There is no vibration, there is no sound, there is no melody, there is nothing then. So the point is not to be too tight, not to be too loose during this time. Not only during this time, of course, always, but now it will be even more important to remember this and to know this, to be guided by these stories. Remember these stories and try to implement them within yourself. So not too tight, not too loose. Whenever you feel yourself you are too tight, remember, try to fine-tune. This is the energy of fine-tuning. We are fine-tuning these energies within ourselves, and we are finding this middle ground. We are finding this middle path from where we can really understand that these all things will pass, and the most constructive way for us, the most powerful way to produce the beautiful melody, to hear the music of spheres, to bring that harmony within ourselves, to understand the symphony of everything, how everything is interconnected and everything together creates the greater symphony and melody. This is when we have to be not too tight, not too loose, just be able to be peaceful. And this is the Libra's archetype. Libra in us, Libra part in us wants us to be at peace with ourselves and with others. This is the energy of being at peace. And because of this peace and need for peaceful energy, we may get in conflicts with others as well. And we have Mercury retrograde during this time in Virgo, right next to the ruler of this new moon in Libra, which is Venus, the goddess of love, of beauty, harmony, relationships, values, and everything that is harmonious, that is bringing out the beauty, expressing soft and gentle energy, charming and irresistible comfort. So through these things, we are able to deliver our message clearly. But Mercury is retrograde, so we should be careful, very careful about our words that we speak. And Mars is also in Gemini, and Mars will soon go retrograde. So this is again very much accentuated accent on words and communication. So we should be aware that we have to also listen to others. We have to tap into the moment of listening and not always being lost in those strategies in our minds. While we are listening to others, we are always strategizing and looking for the answer that we are going to give. Then we are not really present in what the other person is trying to communicate to us. We are not present in that moment because we are thinking about the answer that we are going to give. So let's just try to tap into the presence of listening. It's not easy, I know, to listen to others. It can also be scary to just tap into the listening mode. It can be scary, but during this listening mode, we can feel that moment of silence. And this silence can teach us a lot during this time. Not only during this time, again, always, but during this time, maybe more than and at some other times. But we are going to feel this energy in the coming months as well, because we are moving towards the eclipse season. The eclipse will be in Scorpio, so we will feel this silence building up, and the silence can become loud and very dense and very physical. We can feel the silence, we can taste this silence, and this is the science of silence. And this science of silence is magnificent. It is very awakening, very liberating, once we are able to tap into those moments of really listening to another person and hearing their silence too. Because by hearing their silence, we are really able to hear them. And there is so much comfort and healing in being able to be heard and letting the other person know that they are heard and they are understood and they are not criticized or judged. The same is for us. We should always remember and remind ourselves that we have to be more lovable towards ourselves. This is the greatest relationship that we have, is the relationship with ourselves. All other relationships we can break, we can just end those relationships if we want. We can say goodbye, I don't want to see you anymore, but we cannot do this with ourselves. There is nowhere to hide from ourselves. We cannot end this relationship with ourselves. But through relationships with others, we always grow and always learn so much more about ourselves. These are our reflections and our projections. So we are now asked to really listen to others, really hear them, bring some comfort and to ourselves and to others, being able to listen to ourselves, to hear that silence, that science of silence, and to reach the moment of clarity. In order to reach the moment of clarity, we need that silence, and we are going to see how this works during this time. Mercury is retrograde, so whenever the planet is retrograde, its introvert energy is being expressed more. And during this time we have so many planets retrograde. More than 50% of the planets are retrograde, and this is inward energy. This is contemplative energy. This is the energy of going within. And the ruler of this new moon in Libra is Venus. And Venus is where? In Virgo, next to Mercury. Mercury is exalted in Virgo, feels very good there, feels like at home, because this is ruling, Mercury is ruling planet of Virgo, plus it's exalted in Virgo. So Venus is now there too, so it's a lot about purity. And when Mercury is in its own sign, in sign of exaltation, this is where the Mercury is strongest, you know, the strong intellect, strong mind, strong communication, strong words, very powerful influence of words and communication. So Mercury is also very much about relationships, because it's about communication, right? And we cannot be in relationship if there is no communication. If there is no communication, there is no connection, then there is only disconnection. So we are now going through the processes of reconnecting, reconnecting with others. Mercury is retrograde, so these are, you know, people from the past, people we lost touch with, people we haven't seen or heard in a while, ex-lovers, ex-friends, people we grew up with, people from our childhood, neighbors from the past. all these people, we may meet them now in many different shapes and forms, and this is never a coincidence. This is very important because these moments when we meet these people from the past, especially during Mercury retrograde period, there is a special message, there is a deeper message, more meaningful message for us. There is more to be learned, there is more to be understood, there is a possibility and opportunity to resolve things from the past, to resolve past issues with people, to do things in different way now. There are second chances with Mercury retrograde. We have second chance to do something better, to improve things, to improve our communication with others. But it can also, this energy can also be about discussions, disagreements, arguments, conflicts with others as well, because it's Libra, relationships, Mercury is retrograde next to the new moon ruler Venus, so this can bring miscommunication, misinformation, wrong interpretations, these kinds of things. But sometimes the only way to bring solution, to reach the moment of clarity and peace is exactly through the conflict. So sometimes we have to get into this interaction. This is the dynamic of you and me, you versus me energy. This is the dynamic of relationships and partnerships. So these are social, intimate, business partnerships, all kinds of one-on-one interactions. Everyone we have this one-on-one interaction with, these relationships will be more accentuated during this time, and we have a chance to bring clarity between me and you. And this is very important. As I said, there is no you without me, there is no me without you. And we have to understand this as well. And the most important relationship we have is the one we have with ourselves. And thanks to this, we understand that also every relationship we are in is very important, because they are all different pieces of the mirror that we create in the end, and we have a clarity to see ourselves clearly. So, but it can be a bit foggy during this time. Mercury retrograde, as I said, the retrograde energy can bring a bit confusion and misinterpretation, but Venus is there next to this Mercury, so we can soften our words, we can make them more beautiful, we can resolve things in a charming way, and we can bring some beauty and love into our relationships. So this is a lot about love relationships as well. And these are wild and intense energies. These squares are strong. There is a square between Saturn and Uranus, the square that's been going on since the last year, and now this energy is much felt during this last week of September. It's peaking and building up until the 4th of October, and then it will start to wane, but we will still feel it. And these are two titans, Saturn and Uranus. Saturn, the Lord of the Rings, the Lord of Karma, the Lord of Time. Saturn, the old wise elder, the archetype of the grandfather or the strict father, the energy of old, of what's tried and known, of what's structural, slow things, of things that are slow processes that take time to build. It's about building. It's also about restrictions, limitations, holding things that are safe, being in a need to control life, while Uranus is totally different story, totally different energy. It's about freedom, it's about rebellious energy, revolution. It's about breaking through the walls, not building walls. Saturn building walls, Uranus crashing down those walls. Saturn says hold the line, Uranus says break the line. Hold and break, push and pull, old versus new, control versus freedom. And we may feel this energy strong, the walls are closing in, so this is the claustrophobic energy, and we have a need to break free, to grow beyond this. But again, let's remember the story of these extremes. Let's not go totally in the direction of Saturn and hold on to something that is old, tried, known and familiar, and let's not go totally into the Uranus side where we want everything new and leave the old totally behind, because there is wisdom of the old, and this wisdom we have to keep in order to create this new energy that Uranus wants. So let's use the wisdom of the old. Let's keep it. Let's not just remove it, because it's not everything that is old is outdated. There are some things that are valuable always. So we are now also being reminded of things that are priceless, that are always valuable, because also about values, this new moon's ruler is Venus, and Venus reminds us of true values. Again, Venus rules not only Libra, but Venus also rules Taurus, and Taurus is very important during this time, of course, because Uranus is in Taurus and North Node is in Taurus. So this is very karmic energy, very intense can be. And we are being reminded that to be fully accepted is tremendously healing experience. And when we are able to accept ourselves fully, to play our true, authentic role, this is when we can bring the best of ourselves. This is when we can make the best relationships. This is when we can inspire others as well to bring the best out of themselves. But in order for this to happen, we have to do what? We have to own our shadow. We have to own our shadow and to tap into this science of silence. We have to not be too tight, not be too loose. We have to remember that it will pass, whatever it is, it will pass. We should not identify with it. So owning our shadow, definitely, because Uranus can bring those unpredictable moments, and we are definitely moving towards something totally new, something that we cannot predict, but we have to use the wisdom of the old. We have to keep the wisdom of the old. We have to bring things that we have learned with ourselves. We are not just going to let go of everything that we've learned, because those things can be useful. But definitely foundations are being broken now. Those foundations that are no longer serving us, those foundations, no matter how long we spent in building them, we may have to leave them behind because they are not serving us anymore. And we are also able to understand that sometimes we have to accept criticism. It's not only there to bring us down, but we may be too sensitive to criticism. We may be too defensive, because the ruler of this new moon is in Virgo, next to Mercury retrograde in Virgo, and these two, Mercury and Venus, oppose Neptune in Pisces. And this opposition is also strong, so we have the energy of Neptune as well. So again, can be misinformation, confusion, fogginess. We may have a need to bury our heads in the sand. We may have a need to run into some fantasy, to face fantasy rather than facing reality. But thanks to this energy, we also have ability to bring more compassion and understanding and more spiritual tone in our relationships, more spiritual side of how we interact with others, how we interact with ourselves. So we have a need to serve the relationship. There is the beautiful energy of realizing what it really means to serve. And Virgo is a lot about purity. So there is no possibility to be of service in a true way unless we are truly pure. So we are now reminded to be pure in our to have a mental purity, to have emotional purity and physical purity, our heart, our mind, and our body. We have to keep them pure. So let's ask ourselves always, are my thoughts now pure? Are my words now pure? We have to purify them, and if they are not, we have to use some filters to purify them. We have ability now to restructure those negative thoughts, toxic negative thought structures. We can now restructure them, deconstruct them too. We are under construction during this time as well, and we are going to witness these deconstructions and reconstructions in the next 3 months during these eclipse times and Mars retrograde. But we are now moving towards that energy, and we may have to go over some old ground and resolve things talk things through, because Mercury is retrograde, so old things from the past may come back in order to be resolved, and we shouldn't run away from them, we shouldn't cover our eyes, we should just accept them and allow things to grow, allow things to change, allow ourselves to grow and change, allow others to grow and change. Don't try to hold things as they are, don't try to control others. We may have a need to manipulate and control others as well. And during this time also Pluto is in the game. Pluto, the lord of the underworld, is in trine aspect, which is beautiful aspect with Mercury and Venus, but also with the moon and the sun. So there is a support from Pluto, support for being transformed, support for removing those layers of self-deception and illusions and fantasies. We have support from the Pluto to take the masks off, to take off the illusion, to remove those masks and to look at our authentic and true self, to see ourselves for who we really are. And it may be scary for some, it is scary, but it doesn't matter. Despite this fear, we are asked, we are invited to be our authentic selves despite the fear. So are we resisting through fear, or are we open to what is going to happen, to what the new thing is? And we are invited to be humble, because the ruler of this new moon is in Virgo with this Mercury in Virgo. Virgo, be humble. Let's be humble and as pure as we can. Let's bring the highest expression of this energy, not the lowest. Let's always remind ourselves, if we are in the lowest place, let's not criticize or judge ourselves because of this, but let's try to bring ourselves towards this highest expression of being humble, being able to accept the criticism as well, because this is also a message for us. Every criticism that we receive from others is some special message that we send to ourselves through others. So it's not to blame them for criticizing us, it's more important to be grateful for this critic if we receive it from others. Let's be grateful, let's try to shift the paradigm and our perception of this criticism and judgments, and let's see this as a powerful message that we can use in a powerful way to transform ourselves, to reconstruct ourselves. So these are very valuable healings in our relationships, and we have an ability to become more intimate with ourselves and with others, to really trust the other person and to really trust ourselves, because this is Pluto involved, and we have ability to really tap into those unknown and untried places and methods and experiences from where we can bring some deep buried treasures that we forgot about. And now we can bring them out into the light and express ourselves in a beautiful way. But again, what we express may be scary to us and to others. So let's remember, it's wild energy, extremes, it's wild. We may have a need to break things, to break someone's face as well. We may have a need to do this, so let's not forget it. So remember, not too tight, not too loose. Try to bring peace, Libra, peaceful energy. And the 3 stages of Libra are, it's through all 3 stages there is a peacemaker, but this peacemaker is expressed in a different way. So the first one is people pleaser. This is when we do things out of fear of being rejected, resisted, misunderstood, and so on. This is when we continuously try to please others, because this is how we think we are going to be valued more. And this is how we devalue ourselves and we lose the true core connection with who we truly are, and this is how we disrespect ourselves, and this is how we end up being disrespected by others, of course, when we are all the time in people-pleasing mode. And then we have the lawyer archetype. The lawyer archetype, of course, has to do with relationships, and again the peacemaker, we see that peacemaker is involved here as well, because there is a need to bring peace to different sides, to prove something and to bring fairness and justice to light. And the 3rd stage of Libra is the judge. So the judge is the highest, has the highest place, and the judge decides. And this is again peacemaker. So the peacemaker, the judge who knows. So this is why we need knowledge, and we have to understand that this knowledge is not in this side or in that side. This knowledge is within ourselves, but it's not somewhere specifically. It's in the place that is free from all ideas, from all concepts, from all different ways of doing things. This is the place that is empty. This is the science of silence. This is the empty space which is full of potential. And there is also a quote of mystic Rumi, who I also quoted in previous live. But he is very good for these examples, because there is one quote from him. He says something like, out beyond wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I will meet you there. So this is the place I'm talking about. From this place, we can reach that judge archetype, who is not judging, but bringing peace in a sense that he knows, she knows, we know. And because we know, we speak the truth. And because we speak truth, we have no fear. And because we have no fear, we have clear communication, and we have ability to be authentic and to play our true role, and not to wear any masks, not to try to mask things in any way, not trying to soften things, to make them something that they are not, because we know the truth and we speak the truth, and things just become harmonious. This is when the melody becomes beautiful. We can hear this music of spheres now, because we are in knowledge, we are in this field, out beyond ideas of right doing and wrong doing. There is a field, I will meet you there. So who do you think he is talking to? Who is you? Who is I will meet you there? Many people think it's a romantic quote, but of course it can be used in that way, in poetic romantic way, but we are talking here about our higher selves. I will meet you there. I will meet my essence when I am free from mental illusions of right doing and wrong doing. When I am free from this battle, from this constant battle of am I doing the right thing? Am I now making the wrong decision? Is this right or wrong? And we are always in between these two. We are always in this battle. So in the moment when we are able to tap into this field between it, beyond this, we are able to find this moment of peace and silence, and the moment of truth, and the moment of authenticity. This is something that we connect with many times during our lifetime, but we are not able to hold it, and we shouldn't try to hold it so much. The problem is when we identify ourselves with what is going on. This is when we lose touch with ourselves. We lose ourselves in identifications with all kinds of things. We identify ourselves with our relationship with someone, and we think that we don't exist if there is no that relationship, for example. And sometimes we need that as well on this journey. We need to lose ourselves in others, because this is when we realize that we lost ourselves in others, and now I want to reconnect with myself. I want to come back to myself. And by coming back to myself, I have an opportunity to really connect with the other. And this is the dynamic of these energies. So the criticism is actually helping us. We shouldn't forget this. So if we feel criticized, let's not tap into this defensive mode where we just want to defend ourselves and to prove our point. But let's try to understand this message, and let's use Venus next to Mercury to deliver our message in a kind and beautiful way. So we are now bringing these buried treasures, and we can be truly seen and known by other person, because we are not ashamed to be who we are. So we can really be open, like an open book, to another person. And as I said, this can be scary, but this is also very liberating. It's extremely healing time, and we can heal, because to be accepted is profoundly healing. To be fully accepted is profoundly healing. And we can now feel discomfort because of these open moments, when we are open towards others, and when we cannot hide that which we try to hide all the time, and our true emotions, our true inner state of being. And we are now brought to light in front of others. So we are now able to be broken in front of others, to be vulnerable in front of others, and this is really healing and liberating experience. So we can now liberate ourselves from those unhealthy patterns that are based on some traumas from the past as well. And we are invited to play our true roles, to see what suits us the best, and we can, as I said, remove these masks, remove those layers that we used to protect us. So we are asking ourselves, what is my true purpose? What is my true dharma? What am I here for? What am I here for? To serve, to give, to experience, to learn, to grow. What am I here for? What is my motivation? What is my inspiration? And not only staying stuck in these games with others, in these dynamics of right and wrong, of who is right and who is wrong, because we may see a lot of these and a lot of extremes. For example, we see ourselves many times going into extremes. If for example, we do things for others many times and we don't see any feedback, we don't see any beautiful feedback from others, then we decide after some time, okay, that's it, I will never ever again do anything for the other person. But this is not the idea of life. This is not the idea of how life should be in relationships, because we learn from these things and we learn from ourselves. If we feel betrayed, if we feel wounded or hurt by others, we should understand that we are doing something wrong. This is message to ourselves, from ourselves, through others. We chose others as roles who are delivering us messages. They are just messengers. Don't kill the messenger, right? So we are now finding this peace in the middle. Let's not forget this middle ground. We can reset our relationships during this time. We are called for peace and for harmony and understanding and fairness and justice. But again, we may see the opposite from all these things. Extremes, let's not forget. So Saturn and Uranus will take us on this journey, and we are definitely moving towards something new. But again, I will remind you, let's not just remove everything that was before. Let's keep the wisdom of the past that we have, and let's the other things we can just let go of. We will know what these things are. We will see them in the coming months, especially in the next 2 months. So the question is also now, what divides us and what brings us together? Are we focused on things that divide us, or are we more focused on things that bring us together? And I recommend to all of us, let's be focused on things that bring us together. Let's be focused on things that can bring this fusion and build something beautiful, instead of things that divide us and make us separate. Because when we are separate, we are weak. There is no strength in being separate from others. There is strength when we are together. This is when we build a core, a strong connection, strong relationship. And we may feel a bit claustrophobic because there is so much tension of, needing to break free from something restrictive, and then on the other side need to hold on to something that we are emotionally attached to. But this claustrophobic and uncomfortable energy is exactly what helps us grow. And we know this. There is no growth in comfort. So we should honor this discomfort, because there is really no growth when we are in a comfortable state. And, we are now asked to let go of those things that we always try so hard to prove to ourselves and to others. And we try to keep our role no matter what, because we are afraid of what others might say if we change our role, if we change our way of being. Let's let go of that fear of not being accepted. Because if we accept ourselves fully, this is really healing, really healing. Let's accept ourselves fully now. And we are now becoming a true version of who we are. We are reaching those deeper expressions of our soul. We can reach those layers now, and we can build new love stories as well. We are asked to build new love stories, and to build new love story with ourselves too, because we have to fall in love with ourselves. This is what has to happen. We have to fall in love with ourselves and reach those deeper expressions of who we are, reach that core essence of who we are, because we can now touch it. We have support and we have access to that, and new love story with ourselves is something priceless. Trust me, it's priceless. And Venus is key focus here now, and Venus is energy of human love as well, so we shouldn't forget that love between us and others. Let's cultivate the emotion of love. Not the emotion, I mean, love is much greater than the emotion, but let's start from there. Let's start from building more trust, more compassion, more understanding with others, focusing on things that bring us together. And we are able now to also resolve things from the past with our ex-lovers or friends from the past. We have ability to bring peace to ourselves. We don't have to literally, physically connect with these people. We can bring that peace into ourselves. We can forgive in ourselves, to ourselves and to others, and just let go of that unnecessary burden, really unnecessary. And we can also write a letter to ourselves. This is a beautiful moment for doing that, because Mercury is retrograde in Virgo next to Venus, so it's very powerful if we write a letter to ourselves where we express everything that we want, everything that we feel, without any shame, without any blame. You know, just express it fully. Let it just be totally expressed. Let's not be afraid of it. It feels good to be heard. Let's remember this. And you don't necessarily need to be heard from another person. You sometimes have to be heard from you. So allow yourselves to heal yourself and to hear yourself, and to then bridge with others in a powerful way. And these, as we translate our emotions into these symbols and words and letters, we create more intimate connection with ourselves. We create deeper and more profound understanding of our inner processes, of our psychological processes, of our emotional processes, and we can really purge everything that is toxic and damaging. Then this happens by itself. It's an automatic process. So we are now purifying these things within ourselves, and we are asked to tap into this science of let's own our own silence, let's own our own shadow. Let's try to bring more peace, more harmony, more melody. Let's try to hear that music of spheres. Let's bring that music of spheres in our world and in the world around us. Let's try not to be too tight or too loose. Let's play this instrument beautifully. We are this instrument. Let's tune ourselves beautifully. Let's not be because the strings will break. That's how we break. When we are too tight, we break, and when we are too loose, nothing happens. We don't produce anything beautiful. So let's remind ourselves we are this instrument, and let's own ourselves, own our shadow, own our fears. Let's not be afraid of those fears. These are all purposeful things in our life, and let's try to bring peace in our life. This is Libra new moon, so this is about peacemakers. This is about understanding. This is about making love with everything around us through charm, through devotion, through commitments, through being able to understand and listen to one another, being able to listen to ourselves, being able to really be present in that listening mode and the moment of connection. Let's establish a true connection. Let's feel what is real connection. Let's ask ourselves, when do I really feel good in a conversation? When do I really feel that conversation has that meaning? when do I really feel that I am being heard, and when do I really feel that other person is being heard and there is receptive and exchanging energy between us. So let's try to bring that connection, let's try to establish this connection and to honor this science of silence. So I hope this all made some sense for you, and I hope that this conversation that we had was constructive and was successful in a way of establishing this connection. I hope that this video has the power to establish the connection between us, not only between me and you, but between you know, the general you and I energy. That's the point, that's the essence, the core of being in the connection with everything that is around us, not being disconnected. So let's focus on things that unite us, not what divides us. And I hope that these 2 weeks will bring you some deep insights through this listening, through the silence, through connection, through words. And this is really this is wild energy, but it can be very beautiful as well. And this is how life is. It's never black or white. It's everything and all in between. So it's much deeper, much complex, much bigger than we can comprehend maybe with our rational minds. But this is why we have the right side of the brain too, which is the intuitive side of ourselves, the left side of our body. So we are all, majority of us is right-handed, right? So let's try to be a bit more left-handed, not physically, but I mean mentally and emotionally and in every other way. Let's tune with our intuition. So this is all that I have to share with you about this new moon in Libra, and I really hope that it makes difference for at least some of you, and I am happy that you followed this live and that you are able to make some change in your life thanks to these words and the silence between the words. So I'm happy that we all went through this together, and we are all in this together, let's not forget it. So I will see you in 2 weeks to discuss the energies of the full moon in Aries. Okay, happy to see you again in 2 weeks. Goodbye.